What's up, everybody? It's Mark from 403 Fauna, along with, well, Jason will be here in a minute, hopefully. But today we'll be talking about the Pomona Reptile Show, which Boba Fettuccine, I see you're super excited about it just as much as I am. And I'll be there on Sunday, so hopefully I'll get to run into you. I'll be doing a video, of course. And if you want to be on that video, let me know and we'll put you in there. But yeah, it's summertime here in Southern California, and what that means is we got two big shows coming up. We have the Pomona Reptile Super Show in tomorrow, starts tomorrow this weekend, and next month we have the Anaheim show. So back to back super shows here in Southern California. Um, I love it. I'll go to them both, but honestly, as far as buying back to back months like that, I think it's a little bit hard. But as a YouTuber and who does videos on shows, it's the show the YouTube videos do super well, and I'd like to do them both to get those YouTube views up, but also to give exposure to the vendors here in Southern California. Let me go ahead and get the presentation started. So the Reptile Super Show, that's what we'll be talking about today. And weekly check-in. I think Jason showed up. Let me add him in here. There he is. Whew. Glad you made it.
Jason Radass Designs.
Just in time for the weekly check-in. So go ahead, Jason, if you're ready.
Yeah, sure. Well, this morning I got up at like 5:30 and drove to Newport Beach and took like a scenic tour and checked that out. And I'd never actually been there. I have a king snake from there, but I've never been there. And then accompanying that is Huntington Beach, I guess. And I went there and had a nice breakfast with some friends, and then we went down to the beach, and it was kind of cool. Not quite like Venice, but like lots of like people shopping wares and trinkets and crafts and stuff, and that was pretty cool. Picked up a couple little things there and checked out the ocean, and then I drove my buddy to a firearms place where in California, I guess in the coming days, there will be an increase on the tax of everything firearm related. So my buddy is into that and had something to pick up, and we went there for that, and that was the whole reason I went down there. Give him a ride. His car's been acting up, and drove around up into the desert, the high desert, and then up to the mountain, like my old commute, and then back down, and then showed up here and did a couple things really quick, and here I am. There's like really no time in
In the
between. There's time to grab a snake and be 2 minutes late. So that's my day. The rest of the week has been kind of nice. Just like I'm essentially like on a vacation still, extended vacation, and got word yesterday about like I've been trying to get like my job back through the union, and that's not going to happen. So now I know that at least. And the lawyer told me about employment laws in California, and that was interesting to learn some stuff. And so I'll just get a different job. That's fine. And what else?
clutches. Any clutches this week?
Yeah, I had a clutch. Was here on Tuesday. Now it's Friday, and on Tuesday I pulled a clutch from an pastel ultra male female that I had the pastel sunset in with. So that was clutch number 4. That was pretty exciting. I've been waiting. I mean, I've been pairing them for like not quite a year. I don't think I've had her for a year, but and I didn't pair her like right away. Maybe I have had her a year. But yeah, she was like a big tank of a snake from that collection that I picked up. And I didn't know what I was going to do with her. I thought I was going to sell her originally or trade her, and I held on to her for a bit. And then I started pairing this sunset who um, started to get a little stronger and bigger, and he was plenty old enough, but he wasn't all that big. And they got along pretty good, and I paired them off and on and off and on and off and on. And then got some good photos of them locking up and stuff. But one night when I was feeding everybody, I had left an live soft fur with her, and I kind of had a funny feeling about it. Like usually nothing goes wrong. You'll hear horror stories now and then, if you're not attentive enough, you got other stuff going on, or you feed so much stuff you didn't check it all, like, and that snakes can get attacked and killed. And I've had very little issues with anything like that over the years of feeding live. But for whatever reason, I fed her that night and um, went to bed and then went to work. And I came home the next night, like probably kind of late, went and checked everybody. So it had been in there like 24 hours and it had like chewed her up. And she had what like looked like a rash all over her, and
Mhm.
I felt so bad. But none of those were like really like bloody or anything, but you could tell where she got nipped pretty good all over and even on her nose a little bit. Nothing that would be like scarring, but she did have one spot that did become a scar, and it was like almost like bigger than a quarter mark. I felt so bad. It was just missing scales. The scales were just gone, and it's not like some of the really graphic pictures you'll see online and the horror stories where it's like, into the spine and stuff, chewed on the bone and crazy stuff. It didn't go below the fat layers, but it was just a big missing patch, and I was just I couldn't believe it. And most of the times in the past, like I'd have a snake like kill, a prey item like that and then just not eat it. But that was a learning lesson. I felt super bad. I put a bag balm on her. It's like to treat like wounds like on the surface of like horses, like mostly like on their legs and feet and stuff. And it's kind of like Vaseline. And I bathed her too, bathed her and rinsed her and hydrogen peroxide and different stuff. She didn't seem to be in much pain. I sterilized her tub and I put her. Well, actually, I grabbed a different tub, like an ARS 70 that had been sterilized, and I put her in that with like paper towels and just kept her in a super sterile environment for months. And she really didn't eat. I think maybe she ate once in that container, maybe once before I switched her back into a normal setup. Um, but for a while, obviously I didn't pair her. And I felt like she was gravid. She had plenty of time to be working on that. And then I just started to wonder, I wonder how this is going to go. Like, is she not going to breed this year? Is she not going to breed next year from this? Is she going to have eggs anyways because she's already on that path? And I let her heal really good. She healed like almost miraculously, and then started eating better again and acting normal, and then eventually, like late last year, I started pairing her a tiny bit, and then into spring. It was a long winter, and just hope for the best. And um, I would say she's not quite as good of a eater as she was before. And then I would try to switch her to like rats and mice just because she got attacked by a soffer. So I thought maybe she's not gonna like those anymore.
Yeah.
And that's sort of true. And then she just was totally normal and everything's good and they're getting along. But I didn't think she was gravid. And I even paired her last week. So when I got the eggs, the sunset male was actually had been in there like I don't know, like 4 days or something. So he actually watched the eggs. He actually watched himself be a dad. So I took him out and fed him, and she actually ate right away too. And there were six really nicely shelled eggs that seemed pretty fresh and pretty good size. But it makes me wonder, like, if she didn't have this whole like speed bump in this process, how many eggs would I have gotten if that had not happened? I might got like 8 or 9 eggs or something. I don't know. I will never know. But that is the story of her, and I'm proud of her. She did good and had recovery time and got back on track and still laid eggs. Just took maybe a little longer, and it's one of my more anticipated pairings. I've seen what
Yeah,
sunset ultramels look like, and they're pretty cool. So that was a highlight of the week, and the eggs look great. They're all super fertile, and that's pretty much the extent of my week. I had to deal with some stuff on my off days, but I also got some downtime to just nap, and it's been warm, just kind of like chill a little bit, process on some different things, and look forward to the show coming up. Yeah, that was
definitely.
my week. How about you? Is your week just as eventful?
Now, it just reminds me of how resilient these ball pythons are. I mean, there's some vendors that sell gravid females from Africa, so they're being shipped over with eggs in them, and they still come here and lay eggs.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a story of JP from JP Reptiles, how he had a female that I think ate only twice the entire season, and she still managed to give eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really amazing creatures and really resilient.
Yeah.
But as far as my week, I'm just waiting on this girl right here. She's a black pastel calico, and she was bred by Orange Dream Enchi Het Puzzle. So potential campfires there. That would be Het Puzzle. So I'm really excited for that
Wow.
clutch. And of course, I'm gonna have to send all those eggs, their sheds, out to Rare Genetics Inc. to get tested for Het Puzzle. But if the odds are on my side, and let's say she gives me 8 eggs, 4 of those should be Het Puzzle, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully one of them will be a campfire. I don't care whether it's a male or a female. And man, that's what I really love about ball python breeding is just the odds. It's like gambling, and so far I've been pretty good on those odds. And I think at some point it's going to kick me in the nuts. But let's just
Mm.
hope that this one is also on my side. But
Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes you'll see people post something like on Instagram or wherever, and they, talk about how like they just wanted this one female with a somewhat simple combination, and then they'll just get like all males
mhm,
and things like that happen. I think the guy I got the sunset from, that came from a het pairing and of parents, and he said they had 3 clutches, and he only ever got one pastel sunset out of it.
hmm,
So all the other babies he ever got from 3 clutches were, possible heads. Like that's just how it goes sometimes. And I've heard other stories that were crazier odds that really make you question stuff. And then I also see where, people put together 50%, het monsoon or sunset to something else 50%, and they, get a whole bunch of stuff. I think Garrick DeMeyer, he got like 4 sunsets, I think, from that type of a pairing with collaborating with someone else, not even like fully expecting to hit that, and then they each got 2. Like that's just how it goes sometimes, and yeah, you got to roll the dice a little bit. I know I remember Brock Wagner had sold. possible double het sunset hypos to somebody, and that person raised them up and paired them and hit hypo sunset. I think that was last year, early last year. And so sometimes you gotta just pull that arm on the slot machine and see what happens, and sometimes you can have wild jackpot results, and hopefully that works out for you and you hit a couple campfires. They're a pretty combination in the ball python world. I think they're real cool.
Going back to your clutch, that's a potentially really valuable clutch there. Let's say that you get a 2.4. What
Yeah,
are you
that's what I'm
what are you
hoping for.
what are you selling? Are you keeping them all?
I think if it works out and I do get a 2.4, then I would keep a trio, and then I would have a trio available to sell. So maybe like, I think I've talked to one person already who would want one of those females if I'm female heavy, and then that would then leave me a pair to sell. Um, I know somebody who already wants to trade me for one, but I'm really not in the position this year to do much trading. I really got to liquidate a little and move some stuff, but I suppose if I could trade like a whole bunch of snakes and just shoot a whole like just a whole like a little mini collection to someone for like maybe a little bit of cash, but like one really cool snake to then like consolidate a little bit. I guess I would maybe be open to that. There's some people that are smart when they want to work a certain project, and I've been spread a little bit thinner than I should have in the last couple of years, but they'll just really, some people will just hold just about everything back. Like I got a buddy, he's got like some like zebra het type stuff that he invested in, and he's like, I think he's held everything back. Maybe he sold one female or something. He got like a 1.6 or 1.7, something like that, and he's stoked. And I'm not sure if he even has gotten rid of any of it. Like sometimes that's what people do so that their numbers are better, you know, that they have good odds. They're gonna hit something when you roll the dice that many times. You know, you're gonna get box cars and you're gonna get snake eyes, and you're gonna have more variability, and you're gonna like people playing the lottery every day. Somebody wins. And yeah, I think I would have some available, at least a pair, and maybe a trio. And then it kind of got me thinking too, right? Because that would suck if it was just a whole bunch of males, but what if it was just all females? And then I didn't get the male. Then I gotta search for a male and try to trade a female for it, and or like have that pairing again for the next year. I know you've had that dilemma before where you're like, well, I don't know if I really want to make that pairing
Mhm.
again. I don't think I want to, but I sort of have to, but I don't really do. But like, so it'll just see what the snake gods bestow upon me, and hopefully they just all hatch as healthy babies. The veins in them are really good. The the 5 eggs I got earlier, like it was the first clutch from the het clown, and the dad was a het clown, and he has like all sorts of genes. Like three of those, you could tell when you candled them that there was like a red staining in there on the side, but that there was no real vein structure. There wasn't really much in the way of like I didn't really believe they had a chance to hatch, but I put them in there anyways. And in a few days they smelled, and I could tell. And so there's only 2 eggs, and the 2 eggs that are fertile, they look pretty good. They look pretty good. Their veins are pretty good, but sometimes people get these clutches, and even if there isn't a bunch of slugs, and even if there isn't a bunch of infertile eggs, because that can happen to people too, sometimes veins are kind of weak. So when you candle something, you want to see like crazy, vivid, like bright, thick, like vein work all throughout it. And that varies on what you'll see from clutch to clutch and egg to egg. And I think that that's what I was really happy about was the three fertile het monarch eggs that I got that were bred by a monarch dad. They and then there was one slug. They look great, like tons of vein work. And then with these 6 eggs, look great. And with the last 6 eggs that also had a monarch dad, like those are a little bit smaller of eggs, but they all look pretty good. So that's the main thing, right? When we're propagating and we're creating new little lives of different species, is just to have something hatch out smooth and healthy. Yeah.
Okay, let's. I switched the order around a little bit this week, and
Hmm.
next we do have the rat ass snake of the week.
Yeah, I
Um,
have him right here, wrapped up in a t-shirt. This guy likes to bite me a lot. I don't really mind, but I don't have a ball python to show this week. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to. I have this guy. So this guy is a rosy boa, which is actually my favorite of all snakes. And I've talked about him a little bit before, and I got pictures on my Instagram. And I used to breed rosy boas, and I collected a lot of different locale specific versions. And over the years, a lot of dedicated herpers and keepers would collect them from areas, and they'd say like, oh, it's this mile marker on this highway, and they'd kind of get like a name, and they'd all have like a distinct look. That's the cool thing about rosy boas. It's like if we were collecting ball pythons from different places, like this is from this mountain range, and this is from Togo, and this is from Ghana, and this is from here, like that would be kind of cool to like hold to that a little bit if there were some distinct variability other than size, like the voltas, they tend to be noticeably bigger. But there really hasn't been anything over the years to prove that different locales of ball pythons have distinctly evolved a tiny bit different or intermixed with different stuff or anything. But for whatever reason, rosy boas over the years like have distinct noticeable unique differences between each other from canyon to canyon, mountain to mountain, from they go from pretty much sea level up to high elevation. They don't like to go all the way too up high usually, but they're all over the place, deserty spots and more coastal spots, and all the way down to Baja California. I imagine down to almost the very bottom of it. I've heard reports that it's
mhm.
pretty close to the very bottom. And there's islands down in Baja, so they there could be some island variations that are perhaps like different looking and smaller, but we can't go to Mexico and legally bring back species. People have done it over the years, and that's why certain things are here. And um, there have been people that have gone to Mexican prisons for going and getting rosy boas and bringing them across the border. There's been, documented things, but I just think that they're a cool species. They're an actual boa, one of two in North in America, in the United States. And they have a cousin, the rubber boa, and this one is one of the versions of albino crossed with a xanthic. So like like a VPI morongo,
Snow. Yeah.
so to speak. Yeah. So he's a snow, and they call him Snow White. And when they're born, they're white. They're definitely white when they're born, a little bit pink, but they're definitely white. And then they get kind of creamy, and you can kind of see their pattern a little bit. And there's different versions of it with like a red-eyed albino and with a anarthristic instead of xanthic. And I did a trade when I got that collection of 11 ball pythons for a breeding pair of these guys. So they're 8 years old. They're smaller than the adult rosies that I used to keep at this type of age range, but they had already had their first litter a couple years ago, and that litter didn't survive. They were most of them, I think, like were born and were alive, but sometimes with boas, their first litter just really doesn't do that well, or it's all slugs. And I've had that experience with rosy boas in the past and breeding them. But that should increase their chances of having a nice healthy batch this time. And she definitely looks gravid. And this guy usually will like bite me real easy, but he's not into it today. He ate um 3 days ago and he doesn't feel like biting me, which is almost the first time almost that I've held him and he's been not wanting to taste me. So he's feeling pretty full. Well, I thought I'd show something different. And I think back in the day, Rosy Boas were around more. And
Hmm.
I feel like they were more popular. And you don't see them as often now. And not everybody is held on to certain locale specific stuff. So it worked out good at that time in consolidation and similar care requirements. You keep them a little bit drier. And that's been fun to have them. So hopefully I'll have some offspring from that, and they'll be pretty valuable. Maybe I'll trade some of those or something.
Cool. Thank you for the lesson on rosy boas. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to have actually my friend used to breed them, and I held them on for a while,
Hmm.
and mine was pretty nippy as well. So
Yeah.
you know the feeling with those, but they're super cool snakes.
Some of them can be a bit nippy, and some of them are just dog tame and mellow.
Mm.
Like especially the females, I've noticed. Like I've had some really friendly ones that got really pretty good size, like about 4 feet and pretty thick around. Definitely bigger than the girl that I have. Um, but they are long-lived species. Plenty of them have been documented at well over 40 years old, and a lot of people have had them into like the 30s, like regularly. They live a long time, and they're native to California and Arizona, and part of the West Coast. So yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing.
for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our shout out of the week. And shout out of the
Ooh,
week goes to Kenny the Plug.
Kenny the Plug.
And he answered the question correctly last week. He's now eligible for a snake drawing at the end of the year from both myself and you.
Nice.
And a shout out here as well. Now he's just getting started with ball pythons, and
Hmm.
he's on the lookout for a female ball python to add to his collection. He's from Southern California. He might be at the Pomona show, so
Cool.
if you see him around, um, maybe he'll get a snake off you. Now
Nice.
let's go on to our question of the week. I see we
Hmm.
only have 3 audience members right now, so chances you will win this is pretty high. So our problem of the week: this reptile store has been in business for over 27 years and is a staple at reptile shows all across the country. So A, Triple L Reptile audience, if you think you know the answer, go ahead and put it in the response. B, the Reptile Shop. C, BHB's Reptarium. Or D, Zoomed. So go ahead and take a guess here. Banana Amor, it's all you. Jessica, you already won this. So by default, we're going to give it to Banana Amor Pythons. She is our.
Yeah, I thought that that was the answer too. I mean, when I used to go to reptile shows way back in the day, like they would have a big table spread there, and so being out of the hobby so long and coming back into it, like I still see them there. So yeah, that I knew that they'd been around at least that long. And the reptile shop, you're familiar with them. That I think they've been around a good long while.
Yeah,
Um, but not 27 years, I guess.
but I see him at the local shows here as well. So
Hmm.
I thought I'd add them there, maybe to trick some people.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Banana Amore Pythons.
Hmm.
You are the winner. You'll get a shout out next week. If you want to come on for a quick appearance on our show, you're invited as well. Jessica, you too. If you want to come on for a quick appearance, since you're a previous winner.
And she'll be at Pomona.
Oh, finally get to meet her.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I saw her joking with some people on Instagram about being there already and waiting in line, holding the first place spot, just waiting. And so hopefully we'll finally get to meet her in person.
Leading to our subject of the week, the Pomona Reptile Super Show.
Hmm.
Now, I've been going to this every year since I've gotten back. One of the biggest shows in our country. It doesn't
Hmm.
seem to quite get the name recognition as like a NARBC or some of the other shows, but I think it's starting to get up there, and I think this show is going to have a lot of big names, including Jessica. Hopefully, oh,
Hmm.
she'll only be there in spirit. Oh, okay.
Oh, she was just joking around about coming. I thought she was coming. I was so excited. Holly from Texoma, she's not going. She was hoping to, and got to hang out with her last year at the Pomona show. So I was kind of bummed about that. And so I was like, well, no, Jessica will be there. That's cool. So she was just teasing and just wants to hang out in beautiful Oklahoma instead. That's fine. Both her and Holly can hang out in Oklahoma and we'll have fun at the show.
Now, the really interesting and cool thing about this show is that it's expanding. It's going to be called the LA Pet Fair now. And
Hmm.
it's going to have a bird show in a different building, an aquarium show in another, succulents outside.
Yeah.
So we could go building to building. I know I've got a big interest in aquariums,
Hmm.
and I've always wanted another canary since the hawk got one of my got my only canary a couple of years ago. I don't know if
Mm.
they'll sell canaries there. I'd imagine they would, but I'll be checking out
Yeah.
all sections. Probably not the
Hmm.
succulents. I'm not too interested in that,
Hmm.
but I do want to put out a nice video on this show. My YouTube videos on reptile shows, they do super well, and it's funny because I asked vendors, "You want to be on my video?" and some of them shy away and don't want to be on it, and they're just missing out
Hmm.
on a good opportunity to get their face and name out there. So
Yeah.
hopefully, people who I've asked before would be willing to more come on this time. Now, are
Hmm.
you vending at this show, Jason?
No, but I'm bringing some animals. I know that. Because I got to move some stuff, and I have some things that are valuable that are just fall into a category of being expendable one of these days. I'm sure you could get a ticket, Jessica. Like, I'm sure you would have a blast, and I'm sure you could, find a way to offset the costs of the trip. By bringing some stuff with you, mail in a package of some corn snakes or something. Just a thought, just a thought. But yeah, it should be a blast. It really should be awesome. It's a large venue, so I don't know if they're like how they're splitting it off. If they're like having these different sections, and so like it'll be pretty clear what's what. But it's such a huge space that easily everything could fit in there, and I wonder if the reptile portion of it will be a little bit more compact instead of like so spread out in this giant building. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm curious about all this. Now, I was planning on buying my ticket online. I usually
Hmm.
just go there and get the tickets. The lines aren't usually long for tickets.
Yeah.
I see that now that the tickets this year are $20. So that's usually they're just 16, but you
Hmm.
do get both days to access with that $20. But for me,
Really.
who just wants to go for one day, it means I'm paying a little bit more. It's not a big deal for me.
Hmm.
But there's also like a $1.50 fee if you want to buy it online. So I figure I might just pick it up there. But again, with all these different things going on, I'm wondering if it's going to be more crowded and maybe lines for tickets will be longer even.
Yeah, I mean they got a billboard up, so that falls into, networking and advertisement and getting stuff out there. I haven't heard anything on the radio, but I don't listen to the radio a lot either. So, um, plants are going to be outside. Well, that kind of makes sense, right? Yeah, that
Uh,
makes sense.
but yeah, I'm definitely interested in the aquarium side of things. I do have a reef tank here at home, and they're going to have fresh water and salt water. I'm curious where the turtles are going to go. I'd imagine they're in the reptile section, but maybe the
Hmm.
aquatic turtles would also be in the aquarium section.
Yeah, it'll
But
be fun for me to see if some people got some reef tanks set up because I used to have reef tanks and man, is that a fun section of the pet hobby. Like, it's so fascinating. And it's really not as hard to do saltwater as people think. I find it to be easier than advanced freshwater stuff. And I had a blast with it. You can sink a lot of money into it, like a boat. Like you can make some mistakes and you learn stuff, and then you figure out what is going to fit into this small ocean that you're basically creating, the very small buffer zone. And it's really fun to watch the symbiotic relationship of like clownfish and anemones and certain shrimps and gobies and different things. And it's very relaxing. So a lot of people get that and satisfaction from like a beautiful like vivarium and a nice setup with their reptile. And but with reef tanks, man, you can just sit there for hours and just stare at stuff. It's like being at the ocean underwater, but without having to snorkel and no sharks. So we'll see what there is there. That'll be fun for me to take a look at because I haven't been involved in that in a long time, and there have been some advancements, and be neat to see what kind of new products are out nowadays. And you have a protein skimmer on your tank?
I do.
Yeah,
It has a sump underneath. It does have a clownfish and two clownfish and an anemone. I've had them for 8 years already, so it's been going.
nice.
It's just that I don't like polish everything so nicely, and so
Hmm.
as long as they're alive and happy and thriving, I'm happy with how it looks. But
Yeah.
it's going.
So what kind of anemone do you have for him?
I have a long tentacle anemone,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
those ones require a deep substrate. So I actually have a like 4 or 5 inch sand substrate, and it
Mm-hmm.
buries underneath there.
Yeah.
And I'll try to
Yeah,
get some.
I always liked those a lot. I think that was my favorite part about reef tanks was the relationship with clownfish and anemones, and you can get anemone crabs and anemone shrimp and different things, and everybody's taking care of each other and scratching each other's back, and has their little spot where they're comfortable and essentially live. And each anemone has its own little quirks where they'll be more sensitive, or they'll be more hardy, or they'll eat more fish on their own, or they'll move around more. Bubble tip anemones, there's many different types, but they'll actually, once they get really comfortable, they'll just split. And you'll have two. And eventually those two will split. And then you'll have four. And they just multiply. And that's just wild to me that that's how that works. And um, I miss it for sure. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see what's there.
So here's a map of the show, and number 4 here. I imagine that's what we usually get at a reptile show, but we can see the
Mhm.
buildings next to it. Those would have the aquatics and the birds. So,
Okay, so the
really,
reptile show will be of similar size then per
yeah,
normal. And then they just opened up some other buildings
yeah. So
and set something up outside for the plants. That's going to be interesting because if you have gone to a Pomona show, you will know how much walking and how much space is involved. So now they're opening up what looks like an almost like another 80% tacked on from these other two buildings, and then walking outside with these plants. Like, it's not super far off from walking twice as much. I don't know, this is going to be fun. Bring water and comfortable shoes, people. Hey, Holly.
You know, I've only ever went straight to the reptile building and haven't walked
Hmm.
around. But looking at this map, this place is huge,
Yeah.
and you know, with this being an entire pet fair, now I'll hopefully get to be able to see more of
Hmm.
what Pomona has to offer.
Yeah. Pet fair. I guess that means all the pets will be fairly priced, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about vendors and
Hmm.
what makes a good vendor to you. Like what catches your eye, and what
Hmm.
calls you to their table to look at their products.
Well, I will say, like, first, like, I know that you've seen footage on like Instagram and some other places, but definitely Instagram, of people at other shows around the country that have done unique and creative displays, whether that's using a bunch of wood and lights, whether that's murals, whether that's just like custom stuff that isn't something that you can buy, but was something that somebody put together themselves to stand out. And I've seen a lot of people do that at other shows that I have not been to before, and I always appreciate creativity and ingenuity, and that's something I've seen more at some of our shows, and I hope to see that there. I hope people step up their game a little bit, and that will be the thing that I notice a lot. So you can buy the biggest banner, and you can have like t-shirts, and you can have, some lights and different things and advertisements, but really what stands out is just uniqueness, colors, um, and then when it comes to the customer service sides of things, some people are just more outgoing than others, and sometimes I'll dedicate my time hanging out with and chatting with somebody who maybe just doesn't even have a product, or that I'm necessarily like, went there to purchase. Like, the last, I think it was Pomona last year. There was this lady there. She was super nice and personable, good salesmanship, and she was selling dog harnesses and collars and different stuff. And man, she just impressed me so much with how much she invested in making her product unique and different and stylish. And she had that at a booth that she paid for, and went out on a limb a little bit at a reptile show, having things for dogs. And I actually bought a really nice like harness kind of a deal, for the dog that was on this property at the time in that size range, and it was a really nice product. And I shouted her out on Instagram, and we chatted a little bit on and off for a while. And I don't know if she'll continue going to shows, but it was a really good effort, and that won me over. It's an example of that. And so I'll look for stuff like that. Also, last year we went to some shows that had cool little things I wasn't used to, like little miniatures and things. And that display of all those options was fun for me, and I spent some good money on a couple little cutesy things that I don't have to feed weekly, and I'll be looking for more stuff like that, collectibles and different things. Yeah, customer service is everything. So the days of somebody being an old grumpy person drinking a Coors Light that you can barely get their attention, you don't even sort of want to because they're just not very personable or care enough in that area, that like those are kind of over. And if you want to sell a building that's this big with this many booths and this many breeders in an economy like this, you better bring your A game. You
Mm.
better bring a cooler full of fluids and snacks, and be ready to stand on your feet for days. And just really give the attention to people walking by, whether they have families or whether they look like, that might be an actual, like, legit Rolex watch on their wrist or not. Like, treat everybody the same with the utmost, respect, and try to educate people. And I know sometimes you'll hear breeders be a little frustrated that they just give and give and give with people for, like, let's say 45 minutes hypothetically, and then that person doesn't end up buying something, but that person is a more educated, keeper entering the hobby, and could be somebody that appreciates that later and does come back and buy something from you, or they do a better job because you helped educate them, and the things that they're learning, they're hearing over and over, or they're hearing something different that's better, and that just adds to the overall, knowledge, and experience, um, curve in the hobby in general. And sometimes you're not going to make a sale, but you got to try. You got to try, and I always recognize that, because I value my own customer service so much, and I pride myself on it. And so if somebody is doing something that I really like, and I get a really good vibe from them, and I feel like they went above and beyond, I'll try to, like, help sell stuff there. I'll spend some of my time, instead of just moving on somewhere else, to, like, get other people into their stuff, like, and I'll let them know how much I appreciate what they're offering, and give them props in the areas, and encouragement, and those people get more of my time. So when I go to big shows like this, I don't usually see everything, because I've just talked so much and walked so much. And this time I'm not really, I don't know about you, Mark, but I'm not really going there to buy anything right now. I'm not really in the market for that. We'll see what happens, but, like, I'm gonna bring some animals with me, and we'll get a hotel room this time and stay the whole weekend, and um, see what I can make happen from networking and whatnot. But it's gonna be a blast.
Okay, so the animals that you're bringing, are they already sold, or you're just hoping to make
No,
some?
I'm just a wheeler and dealer. I just know that I'll be able to make some moves in it. Worst case scenario, they hang out with me in a hotel room for the weekend, and go back into their cage. So it's worth a shot. Like, I think I'll be bringing some, since I don't really have rodents now. I have tons of full sealed boxes of black soldier fly larvae, of mealworms, of, like, other rodent food that is sealed and very usable, and then I'm not gonna be using it. So see what I can recoup on that. I mean, when I go to a show usually, and I'm in the market to, like, buy lots of stuff, and I'm looking for things that are easier to find at a show compared to, like, Amazon or a pet store with a markup. Those are the things I'm looking for, like live crickets, tomato worms, silkworms, wax worms, like, certain products. People always have good deals on cocoa at shows like this, cheaper than you're going to find anywhere else, unless you buy a whole pallet. And so I think the rodent materials that I'd be bringing fall into that, where there might not be much of that at the show. And there's a couple breeders I'm going to talk to see if I can put some stuff on their tables, just some small little things, and, like, split some money with them. And I just got to work a little harder on that before tomorrow morning when I show up with stuff. Otherwise, I'll just be, bringing people back to my hotel room and opening up, like, a trench coat. Hey, you want to buy a watch? I got a snake here. I can do that too. But I just thought it was worth a shot. And if I can move a couple things, even maybe even give some stuff away, um, and pay for a hotel room and gas, and a meal at Denny's, which I always go to before the show starts. then I'll be happy because I'm not expecting to buy anything at the show.
Now, the hotel that you're staying at, is it the one at the Pomona Center? This
It
one?
is not. It is
No.
not. No, my buddy will be there. He always lines that up ahead of time. He's smarter than me. I'm just gonna stay a little ways away and not be that quick walk. But it's fine. Yeah.
Now, I know what I was surprised at with the Pomona show when I first went there, I think in 2001, was there was this girl set up her anime sticker table, and I'm into anime, and that was the last thing I would expect. And of course, I got a few stickers from her, but I
Mm-hmm.
saw that girl busy the entire show, so she made a lot of money just selling anime stickers. And
Mm-hmm.
also last year, I bought a little Porkins figurine, the pig-nosed turtle. I
Yeah.
made a reel with it, and that thing went over 1 million views. So I'm gonna share it with that vendor. Hopefully he's still there, and just to show him what his little toy got. And it's
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are not necessarily just young, but young and a little bit older that will have artwork. And I'm always a sucker for artwork over the decades of that I've been in the hobby on and off. Like I've bought lots of artwork when it's reasonably affordable, that just to be supportive of artists in general, like that like people make now digital art, and people make, especially kids, they'll just do a really good job of making like you're getting basically originals, and then sometimes like they make prints of stuff, and I like to support that and see people using their creativity in that area and being a part of the hobby in their own way. And I'll be checking out some of that, and who knows, maybe that's something I'll spend some money on, perhaps.
I want to send a shout out to the San Diego vendors, Randy from Dark Cloud, Gray from Gray's Reptiles, and Paper Street Pythons. Gosh, I'm forgetting her name, but Paper Street Pythons is
I don't
also
remember it off the
there.
top of my head either, but she is so nice. I chat with her every now and then, and she works with tegus and like red and blue tegus and ball pythons. She's in the mix in that, and has a really nice, friendly family and really good vibes. So I spent some time at her table last summer just chatting with her, and I like her a lot.
I find that the vendors that are consistently do these shows are like the coolest people to talk to. And I haven't talked to Portuguese pythons yet, but I'm gonna make it a thing to talk to them and get them on video this weekend
Yeah.
and just show off all the cool ultramels that they have. Is there any particular vendors you're excited to see?
Um, well, if Jessica gets a plane ticket and comes on out, like that's who I'm most excited to meet. But I always go and stop by like Troy at Best Dress, and Andrew and Jacob, and there will be some other people sometimes at these types of shows that come from like Northern California, that I'll bump into people that I haven't seen in like 15 years or something. And that happened to the last show that I went to. I think that was Anaheim. And that's always fun. And so you never know who you'll see. Um, who else? Like Brian from Triple B,
Mhm.
Cusco. He'll be there, and on Sunday he'll have like a little like church service type thing outside of the show, and get some people and some good vibes together. And I'll check that out and talk to him again. I've talked to him at the last shows that he's gone to, and I would say if I had to pick someone I was the most excited to go chat with, it would probably be him. Yeah.
Big time celebrities in the reptile industry will be there. I think
Hmm.
Will from RCR is gonna come down for that, so that'll be cool to meet
Nice.
him for the first time. I
Yeah.
don't know if the rest of the Canadian crew will be there, like Austin and Jaffe and Elian were there last time, but
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see who's there.
Yeah.
Okay, one more thing here before we close out today, and just wanted to say that Rare Genetics Inc. is they have a raffle going on right now, and you don't have to be at the show to participate. Just do the QR code that's right there, and $10 per entry. You could potentially win. First place is a Citrus Pastel Lesser Platinum Hatari from Dark Cloud Reptiles. Now, I personally seen Randy's Hataris, and they are amazing. One of my favorite snakes is the what is it, the red stripe Hatari that he has. That thing is crazy, and it's het clown. Maybe it'll be breeding for him this upcoming season. But Hatari is a granite type gene that is a little bit crazier than the typical granite genes. Second place, you could get a 2 multi-gene panel tests. So if we could all use shed tests, and
Yeah.
with all the clutches that I'm having this year that are from a het on one side, so they'll all be 50%. I'm going to be doing entire clutches, so I could use that. Third place is 2 single gene shed tests, so really good chance. And again, you don't have to be at the show to participate and win. Just do that QR code and get your money in, and you could potentially win.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, the last snake that they raffled off was a really pretty, like super pretty and valuable snake from Randy as well. So he's always contributing to the hobby in some form, and that's really nice of him. And it's not just like typical snakes. Like it's usually something especially nice, like a show quality snake, so to speak. And I've seen some of his Hatari stuff too in person, and some of it's pretty awesome. There was a time where I was considering getting into that project, but spread thin like peanut butter as it is. So
Any last thoughts about the show?
yeah, just if anyone out there see me and Mark, you're going on Saturday.
I'm going Sunday.
You're going Sunday. Okay. So if you see me on Saturday, or if you see me or Mark on Sunday, stop by, say hi, chat, and get on video, and that will be fun to meet new people and familiar faces, and just have fun at the show. Just remember to bring snacks, mildly perishable stuff and things that last, trail mix and power bars, and beef jerky is what I usually bring, and lots of, fluids and hydration. If you're getting a hotel, then keep some stuff there. Bring a cooler, bring, extra pairs of things that you might not like think of. Bring everything, extra batteries, everything. And if you're traveling from afar, then lock your cars. This is Southern California, so nobody's responsible for your vehicle, other than you and the Pomona Police Department. So just do all the preparedness that you can, and be ready. Parking at Pomona, you can't use cash anymore. So bring some form of credit and a backup card to get in and park. Um, and get ready to have a good time. Yeah. And use deodorant, man. Like there's going to be thousands and thousands of people in there. It gets warm. It is summertime in Southern California. So be respectful, man. Like have some pride in your appearance. Like if we were just all talking about going to different grocery stores on a Sunday morning, yeah, like you can wear your pajamas. I do a lot of times. Like I don't care. I'm not trying to impress anybody when I'm not on the clock at a grocery store, but when I go to a show or a concert or a club or a bar or karaoke place, a restaurant, like spray some Axe or whatever, there's so many nice quality deodorants nowadays that aren't boring and got all sorts of cool lavender smells and stuff. You'll see the commercials and ads on YouTube. So, just be mindful of that kind of stuff and be respectful of people if it's standing room only. Don't be a jerk. That's my advice. I mean, I'm not telling people what to do, but just try to have fun and help people when you can. If you see somebody's curious about something and they need help or they need advice, like chime in. Don't be like such an introvert. Like the reptile hobby and industry is a unique one with a lot of interesting personalities and friendly people and some weird people too. And it's okay to mix it up and try to learn stuff along the way too. Ask a lot of questions, you know.
Most
Yeah, just
definitely.
have yeah, just have fun. I know I'm gonna have fun. I have fun at every show I go to.
Are you gonna wear anyone's logo on your shirt?
I'll probably will dig out like my high desert python shirt for one of the days. And then I got like a rad ass designs hoodie, so I'll probably wear that um one of the days too.
And Redline Shipping is always giving out free shirts, so
Yeah.
if you want a free shirt, go check out Redline Shipping.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to go to Denny's before on Saturday morning, it's right nearby the show, and there's I think a little Starbucks or a little coffee place like right near that too. Then you will see me there right before the hour before the show having like pancakes and hash browns, and you can come sit at my table if you want.
Is the new girlfriend gonna be there with you?
She wouldn't answer me. So I got her like a present today and I'm not trying to pressure into going, like we've talked about how some people are supportive of your hobby and some people just let you do your thing and don't really want to be dragged into it. And not everybody is super comfortable at a large like event with a bunch of people, not
Mhm.
just because of like the COVID era and bird flu and like germs and stuff, but more just like, that's not everyone's scene is to like get blisters on their foot and whatnot. So I won't know until later tonight. I'll ask her again. And yeah, just definitely have fun, mix it up, meet some people, try to be helpful where you can, and take lots of pictures for Instagram. And on Sunday, when you see Mark, don't be shy to be on video or at least just like chat with him a bit. And I'm sure he'll shout you out at a later time.
Thank you, Jason, so much. Well said
Sure.
as usual. Thank you, audience, for being here. Have a great day, everybody. See you later.
See ya.